The Hangar Z podcast welcomes Captain Jason Vanbuskirk and pilot Alberto Camacho of Miami-Dade Fire Air Rescue.
So the plan that we formulated was that they were going to deploy me as the rescue swimmer. I was going to approach her and that I would swim her to shore unless we got in trouble, and then we would initiate a hoist. But first plan of action was to make contact with her, get that under control, and then swim her into shore, which was pretty far. So I made contact with her, and she wasn't having any of the rescue at first. That's not what she signed up for.
Welcome back to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and partnered with Vertical Valor Plus. We're excited to be on the third stop of this year's Blades of Valor Tour, coming to you from the beautiful state of Florida. The Blades of Valor Tour spotlights public safety aviation units recognized for outstanding service and celebrates those who go above and beyond. We aim to promote the good work these agencies do and highlight the standard of excellence they set. These teams serve as the benchmark for the public aviation community. Our mission is to share their stories of unwavering commitment, courage, innovative leadership, teamwork, and technological innovation from agencies setting the standard in public safety aviation and inspiring others to raise the bar in service and safety. Today's episode was recorded inside the hangar at Miami-Dade Fire Air Rescue, and we're joined by Captain Jason Vanbuskirk and pilot Alberto Camacho. We'll dive into the recent regional fly-in held at the base, a Vertical Valor Plus air-to-air photo and video shoot that included the department's Marine unit, and an in-depth overview of air rescue operations. You'll also hear a detailed description of the Leonardo AW-139, the crew makeup and mission sets, and the equipment that makes these missions possible. And of course, we'll talk about the incredibly diverse area of operations, spanning dense urban environments, the Everglades, and open water. This is another great discussion on mission readiness and the training required to stay current in a wide variety of skill sets. Many thanks to Vertical Valor Plus and all of our sponsors for making this Blades of Valor Tour possible. This is a one-of-a-kind tour that includes photography, videography, print, and podcasting. Stay tuned for lots of original content in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you to our sponsors: Onboard Systems Hoist and Winch, Dallas Avionics, and Centum.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like they're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and partnered with Vertical Valor Plus. We are in Miami, Florida, at the Miami Executive Airport with Miami-Dade Fire Air Rescue. And we've been here for a few days. It's been great. This is part of the Blades of Valor tour. We're on stop number 3 of 4, and it's been going great. John Gray, the creator of the Hangar Z podcast, is with us today, of course.
Morning.
Good morning, John.
Yeah, good morning.
It's been good, huh?
Man, this trip, amazing. The effort that people put into making this tour amazing has been mind-blowing. You know, you guys, the hospitality you've shown us, the flights we were a part of, getting to see your area of operation, and the work you do was fantastic. So thank you guys.
Yeah, we're learning so much and just being exposed to these units in a great way. You guys have been wonderful to us. We couldn't do this without MHM Publishing. Obviously, the support that MHM's given us for these tours is incredible, and day to day with the podcast with the Hangar Z. But we also want to thank all of our sponsors. I mean, it's been incredible, the support from them, and Massif Flight Suits. We really appreciate it. We've been doing a lot of flying, and we're comfortable and safe and appreciative to Massif. So thank you very, very much for all of that. So with that, let me introduce our guests. We have 2 great guests today. One is a pilot, one is a crew member, but also a little twist, he's a captain. So we start with the captain, Captain Jason Vanbuskirk. Jason, welcome to the Hangar Z.
Thank you, Jack. Glad to be with you.
We're thrilled. You helped us a lot, Jason, and it's been wonderful. And pilot, Alberto Camacho. Alberto, thank you very much for joining the Hangar Z. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and I want to say thank you to you guys for coming out here and highlighting, some of the things that we do.
Oh, it's been an honor and a pleasure. I mean, this has been incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Alberto was one of our pilots yesterday. You and Bob Wallace,
yes, sir,
the chief pilot, flew us around quite a bit, and our host. I'll call you the host. Jason, you've been incredible. Sure. I mean, you're the person that we talked to the most setting this up. Mm-hmm. We knew right away that this was going to be a wonderful visit based on our interactions with you. That means a lot to us. It takes a lot of pressure off of us, and we know that we're going to be able to get to your facility and go, we're going to get what we want and what we need there. And you went above and beyond that by far, as we'll talk about here in a minute. So, Jason, thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I like to share everything we do with everybody, and the work you guys are doing, highlighting that and bringing that out to everybody else. We're really a unique entity within public safety, and to get to showcase that for everybody else that doesn't necessarily get to do this, but is maybe a part of this Miami-Dade Fire Rescue or neighboring agencies, to see what we do. Some of these people interact with us maybe just for a few minutes, but to see behind the curtain and share the whole process is really great. And we appreciate you guys providing that platform to everyone to see and share what we do. So thank you.
That's the goal. Yeah. And mission accomplished. I mean, we're just starting a recording. A mission accomplished already. We know what we saw and heard and got to document in the past few days, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Yep. You are unique, very unique.
But sharing that message, best practice message is so important. That's part of our goal in the podcast. And it was really interesting on Friday. You coordinated a local fly-in, and the lessons learned there from all the agencies involved. It was really cool. So you're impacting agencies' operations here locally, regionally, and then through the podcast globally. People are going to look at what you guys do and ask, how do we incorporate some of their practices in what we're doing? So I think learning from each other is the best possible way of going about doing business. Yeah. There's no need to reinvent any wheel, right? Let's take the best parts of each operation and implement those into what we're doing. So you guys just blown away by what you guys are doing. So well done.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's talk about Friday. Let's start with Friday. You arranged a fly-in for units in the region to come in and exchange ideas, exchange information, get to see each other's aircraft. You were doing walkarounds where they were coming to your aircraft, you're going to their aircraft. Tell us about that fly-in, why you did it, and what you were trying to accomplish there.
Yeah, so we've had that idea before and kind of had some other maybe ad hoc events like that. We wouldn't necessarily call a fly-in. It's more focused on one or two agencies. But here we opened it up to a lot of our neighbors and said, hey, come on in and let's just do a little show and tell. Let's see each other's aircraft. Let's talk about best practices. Let's look at each other's checklists. Let's talk about, how we can communicate when we get on scene together. So that was the first time we kind of opened it up to a broader audience. And I think that's something we want to do again in the future, and, work with these other agencies that came and help them host fly-ins too, so that we can kind of pass that around and keep it going. It's not always easy for agencies to spare an aircraft or a crew to go out to a fly-in. And not everybody can make it. And I'm sure most fly-ins, more invitations go out than there are attending parties. Always. But as long as the invitation's there and we keep the effort going, that communication, that dialogue, that face-to-face, that relationship, that knowledge of your neighbors is going to continue and increase. Yeah. So we want to keep that going.
Absolutely. John and I can tell you firsthand from Southern California, lots of agencies, both fire side and law enforcement side. Fly-ins are common. Yeah. And the value of them. Talk about the value of them, John. I mean, you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, Southern California, there's Clay Lacey calls it the Disneyland for helicopters. There's public safety aviation agencies everywhere, and we're flying very frequently in very congested airspace. So to be able to talk, get on the same page in advance of something, to work out comms, altitudes we're going to fly at, and the ways we're going to do things was so critical the training that was a part of that was huge too. One thing that we implemented that I thought was interesting was the incorporation of the news agencies, the news ships.
Yeah.
You know, there was more than one event where there was some safety issues that came as a result of all these aircraft falling in pursuit or whatever the agency was. So I don't remember who it was. Jack, you might have a better memory and knowledge of how this happened, but at one point we decided, hey, we need to incorporate these E&G companies into these fly-ins so that we're all on the same page. And that was a unique approach and invite for those. And then this last couple of years, we've also invited the military into the fly-ins in Southern California. So Riverside County Sheriffs in particular, they're inviting folks from all over Southern California that are flying military ships in. So that's been pretty cool.
One of the greatest things about recording in the hangars is that. I mean, being interrupted by a landing helicopter, we love it. We love it.
Awesome.
But the value of the fly-ins, we saw it on Friday. You know, each helicopter was surrounded by the large group, and you're just talking about equipment and stuff, and there were side conversations. I overheard some of them. There was all sorts of topics being discussed.
Yep.
It wasn't just equipment. It was a wide variety of things. Everybody left on Friday with more information than when they showed up with. So mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I hope you keep doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, to touch on something you brought up, the E&G guys, I think they'd be a great group to invite next time, because those guys, for our purposes, especially in the search and rescue or medevac world, they've kind of been like our bird dog in the past. And there's a local guy here, Ralph Rayburn. Shout out to Ralph Rayburn. He's like an original, I'll call him a TFO. He does that job so well. He's a call player from the air, and a lot of times those guys, they're the first ones on scene, and they're out there, you know, finding that down aircraft for us, finding that accident or that boating incident, and they're guiding us in. So yeah, they don't necessarily have the badge or the public safety title, but they're just as much in the game as we are, and provide a valuable asset because they're out there, you know, navigating the skies with us, and they're definitely our partner agencies. So I think there's a lot of other what we might not term public safety aviation units that should all get an invite to these fly-ins, and that do end up operating with us at these things and provide a lot of information for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes beyond safety.
Yeah.
Goes into so Alberto, tell us about your perspective on that. You're up front, you're piloting, and now it's a big event. Next thing you know, there's E&G ships there. Relationship-wise, safety-wise, what are you doing, and what do you have arranged with them as far as communication?
Basically, all of that stuff is done on the radio. Yeah. Like Jason said, you know, sometimes we're flying out there, we put a lat long in, and we're trying to figure out where we're going, and hey, there it is. We're going right where that sharper is. Yeah. But we get on the radio, we deconflict, obviously, the altitudes with them, and that's pretty much been my interaction with them. I think it would be a great idea to include them on these fly-ins and have more conversations, build relationships, and, you know, we can actually make things work a little bit better.
No doubt. And better and safer. And what John was talking about, I mean, there was multiple incidents where there was some conflict, and it created tension and animosity and between media and law enforcement. And that's not good, because on a pursuit, for instance, if it went longer than 15, 20 minutes, you were going to have at least a half a dozen E&G ships over you. And it's important to know that I can trust them and they can trust me. And there was no trust. And then they formed that organization, and it's incredible. It's much better now. I holding short of saying incredible now, because it depends on personalities. A lot of it is. But it is much safer than it was, dramatically safer than it was, just because of meeting.
Yeah.
Getting to see somebody that you talk to. Right. You've talked to somebody 100 times. You don't even know what they look like. You know, right? I mean,
absolutely.
And now you get to meet them at a fly and you go, hey, you're Rescue 2. Yeah, you're Channel 7. And next thing you know, the conversation leads to whatever. And next time you work with that person, it's better than it was, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved before I retired was fall in pursuit with a gaggle of E&G and law enforcement ships. We'd fly to 5, and one of the E&G ships would be like, hey, I'll contact the tower. I'll set us up as a flight of 5. So you've got us all working in unison together instead of everyone kind of fighting for their own thing. That was great. So love that part of it, the communication part of it. You know, being able to go to air and be, hey Jack, would you do this for me, instead of, hey, LA County, whatever. It's just knowing firsthand, first name, who these people are and what their capabilities are, I think is huge.
Yeah, I think because it works so well the way that we do it, they pretty much stay out of our way, and we're able to complete our mission, and they do what they have to do. We kind of take that for granted a little bit. But I think it would be a lot better to get together and talk and build those relationships.
Sure. Yeah. Good thing for a debrief for next time, huh?
Yeah.
Learning something and going, hey, next time we're going to invite a couple of those guys, and that's a good call. I hope that continues, because you had a good turnout, and there was a couple that we knew wanted to come and at the last minute weren't able to, and another one that had something going on with an aircraft. Two. So there was 3 that would have been here. So the turnout was good.
Yeah,
and we appreciated it.
I almost don't know where to cap the invitation, because it can really, spread out pretty far. And it's not just the E&G guys. As we were discussing this, I was just thinking there's a couple other people. There's a big sanitation department, waste management, that has their own aircraft that post-disaster, they'll fly their sites. And that guy's relayed where fuel is post-disaster before and made a big difference in rescue operations statewide.
Yeah.
So everybody is important in this. And there's other infrastructure companies like water management and the power companies that have their aircraft in the game too, that are relaying critical information post-disaster. And we got to work with all these folks. So, we got a lot of events to plan and a lot of invitations to put out.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit. Everybody that's out there flying is part of the team.
There's no doubt when you're in the air, you're all part of that team for safety.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give you, for our since we're debriefing this, I'll give you one. Tower people.
Yeah.
It appears to me from what we heard landing and taking off, you and your tower get along real good. It seems seamless to me. But having a tower person tell them, hey, we're going to have this flying. If you want to stop down and meet some of the crews from Broward, from the region, they're going to be here between 10 and 1 today or whatever. They probably really appreciate that too. And the more you talk to tower people, away from work, the more you learn as well.
Gosh,
I can speak to that firsthand.
Yeah, I remember the chili flying. Or, wait, not the chili flying. It's the disaster preparedness.
Yeah, it's the chili flying. I'm retired, John. It's the chili flying. I can say whatever I want.
That's an event that LAPD hosts every year, and they fly local controllers in, and just a chance to network. I remember having a conversation with one of the controllers, because I was having a problem on surveillances, trying to descend to the surface area. I was asking, my request was not what they wanted. So I remember getting a chance to talk to one of those controllers, be like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. What's the best way to verbalize that to you guys? And that solved a lot of my problems. It made what I was doing so much easier. So thankful for that opportunity just to have those kind of conversations.
Yeah. Simple, isn't it?
Yep.
It's amazing what a conversation can do. Great. Well, let's continue on then. And then we had the weekend, which was really odd to have some time off on our Blades of Valor tours. We're usually driving, for days and hours in between stops. This was wonderful here. So we had a couple days of freedom. We did an airboat ride, a tour in the Everglades, which was cool. And then obviously Super Bowl Sunday. And we came back Monday, boom, right back to work with you guys. And we did a fantastic air-to-air shoot in the morning with your Marine unit. Yeah. Talk about coordinating that and what we accomplished there.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate, Jack. I got to work in our Marine unit for a while, and I am still certified out there. I don't get out there quite as much anymore, but those guys were really, really fortunate to get to work with them. In my opinion, at least in our area, we work with some of the best fire department boat crews and helicopter crews around, and the coordination is something that we've been working on for a long time. We end up operating, obviously, in the near coastal areas on a pretty regular basis together. So to be able to showcase that and to, show that unique scenery that we're out there operating in, it was really pretty yesterday. But most of our rescues don't occur in that type of scenery.
Right.
I wish we had that kind of water clarity, sea condition, and lighting.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. But those guys are fantastic, and they have a lot of the same attributes that we do here in aviation there in their boat crews. The way that they operate, and they're able to exchange crew members and operate with CRM and operate off of checklists and standardized procedures and consistent training, just like us or just like an aviation unit.
Right.
that's what kind of leads to our success together. There's a lot of mutual crossover there.
Right. The coordination was incredible. I mean, we could see it. We saw it firsthand, the coordination and your communication with them from the helicopter, what we needed, what they were willing to do, and how we could coordinate that safely and effectively and get some incredible video and photos, which all of our listeners and watchers are going to get a chance to see. It was quite amazing. I mean, Brent Bundy was up filming, John was filming, and the boats are amazing. Yeah. Is there anything specific about I mean, you haven't been there in a while, but those boats, can you tell us anything about that large one particularly? That's an incredible machine right there.
Yeah, so from the very beginning when Miami-Dade Fire Rescue started their fireboat program, they needed a large, capable, stable platform that was shallow drafting but also high speed.
Right.
So those boats provide that. They're able to move or transit our areas very quickly, draft very little water, and pump a lot of water on larger fires. So they're very versatile, and they provide a really great platform for us for a multitude of different missions, just like the helicopter. This AW-139 behind me, we asked it to be a Swiss Army knife. They did the same thing with the boats. They asked them to be a Swiss Army knife, to be a dive platform, a search and rescue platform, firefighting. And so with that broad set, it's amazing how well the crews and the boats perform at all those different missions.
Yeah. And as a pilot, you're working around those boats regularly on similar missions and training. Talk about the relationship with the Marine unit from your perspective, Alberto.
Thank you to our sponsor, Centum. Airborne operators know that every second counts. LifeSeeker is a powerful phone location tool helping search and rescue teams and law enforcement agencies locate missing persons faster, even in the toughest conditions. With hundreds of successful missions every year and proven reliability, LifeSeeker is trusted by public safety agencies worldwide. Want to improve your operations? Learn more at Centum.com.
We haven't always had the best relationship with them necessarily. We had the Bell 412 prior to the AW-139, and in the past they did do a lot of training. But once we transitioned into this aircraft, we had to kind of put the brakes on that for a little bit. We had to reorganize and get used to this aircraft and all of that. And within the last year, we've really started incorporating those guys, and it's really been, a lot helpful. Those first few times that we went out there and worked with them, it wasn't as smooth as we would have liked it to be. But with training, nothing's going to be perfect. But, you get better and better. So I think we're definitely getting there. We still got some work to do, but we're going to keep at it.
Everything has growing pains, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
What percentage of the operations you guys are a part of in the marine environment include the utilization of those marine boats?
Well, they take some time to get out there, right? So once we get a water call, we're not going to be the first ones on the scene, because normally it's a busy weekend. There's boats everywhere, so you'll have boats that'll go out there and provide at least get people out of the water if they're in the water. But we'll usually beat the boat out there. But we do a great job in coordinating with them, even if we can't get the patient out. If they're kind of close, we kind of direct them in. They can see us in the air, and they're able to provide that direct assistance to them.
Yeah. So. Well, it was impressive, and they're really, really, really cool. It would have been, if we had another day, I'd be asking you to cook me up with going down there and checking that out in person, because they were both really impressive looking boats, especially the larger one. Man, I think it was huge.
Yeah.
Our listeners will be able to watch all that stuff very soon as it comes out. So after the air-to-air yesterday, we did an in-flight podcast with you, Jason, and Alberto and Bob. They were in on it too, where you showed us around and you showed us your area of operation. That was amazing, first of all, and a great opportunity for us. We walked away with a lot of knowledge that we didn't have when we took off. Talk about, we're going to get to the more details of it, but talk about that flight and some of the key points of the area operation that come into play for what you do on a daily basis here.
Okay, yeah, so I call that little tour that we did the Swamp to Sea tour, because we kind of start in the swamp, and we navigate around our near coastal area. So we headed southwest from here and went into the Everglades, and came out into Florida Bay over Flamingo and the visitor center there, which is a popular tourist destination. And you saw how remote that area was.
Very remote.
Not that the bulk of our calls are there, but it is definitely an area that we're needed in to respond to, because ground-based response that far out is just you saw the park entrance road was 38 miles.
Yeah.
So it's a long way to get in there for anything that happens out there. And then from there, we went out to the Barrier Islands and proceeded up through Biscayne Bay along Elliott Key and into the downtown area. And not that the majority of our calls happen in that area. They happen more in the center, more in the city environment. That's where the majority of our work is. 80% of the unit's call volume is scene medevac work. So the majority of the work is done in there, but it shows you the different locations and types of missions that you can find yourself responding to here. So we have to be prepared for a little bit of everything. Yeah. We have all different gear for each scenario, different footwear. We're flying over the Everglades, and you're asking me, hey, can we land there? That looks like you could. That's an area that your average boot, if you were to step in there, would get sucked off your foot. So you have to really plan these things out, and you got to change things depending on where you're going.
Right.
So, it just shows the diversity of the areas we operate in and the types of mission we get.
Yeah, amazing. And for you, Alberto, it was clear blue, calm winds. The ocean was like glass.
That's right.
Daytime. It was the best conditions for you. You go out in much worse conditions than that. So that was probably a treat yesterday to fly around, wasn't it? I can't imagine some of the conditions. We were talking about it yesterday. The darkness of the Everglades. At night, new moon, there's nothing out there.
There is nothing. Right?
Nothing. And even with goggles, we talked about this, right? Even with goggles, that's a challenge.
It is. Wow. It is a big challenge. And it's not just the Everglades. We're going out there
the ocean.
In the ocean and looking off to the east, there is nothing.
Yeah.
And it's extremely dark. So it could be a little bit intimidating.
All right.
But, we fall back on that experience that we've built, whether it was the military, because we do have a lot of military, former military guys, and guys that have just, a lot of experience with goggles otherwise. So we fall back on that. But, it's intimidating.
Oh, man. It was nice yesterday. John, talk about yesterday for you.
Yeah, well, to touch on what you just brought up, the Army-Navy rivalry in the front was pretty fun to experience. But that flight really highlighted the remoteness of the county. It's something I hadn't, not having been to Miami, at least that part of Miami before, really visualized and understood. But that flight really allowed me to understand how varied your responses are, and how critical your services are to the citizens and visitors of this region. Like you said, being one of these remote campsites off one of these barrier islands, gosh, if you guys aren't able to fly, there's really no hope of any medical assistance outside of a long response by vehicle or, by boat, because most of the vehicles can't make it out there. But it was really enlightening for me. The Everglades, gosh, that's a very unique environment. Again, it's something I've seen on TV only, but seeing the dryness of the Everglades, like Jack brought up, can you land there? Like I didn't ever see a dry version of that, but it looks like you can land there.
In some areas, it does look like you can land, but absolutely not.
It really did. It looked like prairie. I think I described it. And I thought, wow, looks pretty dry there. You could probably land there. And that's when we asked Jason. He goes, no.
I was wrong. You can once.
Yeah, once. And then you got to ask the county for a new helicopter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that I drew away from yesterday, the thing that really hit me was that the average tourist that comes here, and there's millions and millions a year that come to the Everglades and South Florida in general, they have no idea about this asset behind us and the people that operate it. They have no idea that you exist. But I'm just saying that the confidence level that I have in knowing what I know now is just through the roof. Yeah. It's amazing that I could go out in the Everglades and go, well, I know that if something goes wrong here, Miami-Dade Air Rescue is going to be here and save my butt. I mean, they have the capabilities with not only their aircraft, but their personnel and paramedic and medical equipment it adds confidence as somebody that's visiting here to know that asset it could really save you. And you do. We talked about stories yesterday. My God, some of these islands that you showed us, they were fascinating, where there's a little ranger station. The only way to get there is by boat. If you had a problem there, any problem, a stroke, a heart attack, not just shark bites or a boating accident or something more serious, just a medical, you're going to need this asset or you might not survive. And you guys provide that. That was the impact on me because of the remoteness.
Yeah.
It's like the desert for us.
Yep.
You go out into Death Valley or something. You're depending on you.
Yeah.
And some air asset from San Bernardino County, possibly, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna save you. So that was a big takeaway from me. I have confidence. Not that I'm going to go out and act crazy in the Everglades, because I don't want to do that, because there's a lot of factors there that we'll get into. But very educational. That was so good yesterday.
Absolutely.
So good.
Yeah.
So thank you again. And the Army-Navy rivalry was very good. It was very good. We've got a Navy pilot and an Army pilot, and we were in excellent hands. They weren't fighting. There was no fighting among them. The rivalry was set aside to keep us safe. But it was cool that we had Army-Navy up front. We were the best of both worlds. So let's shift gears. Jason, we'll start with you. You have a fascinating background. And we learned about it a little bit yesterday, and it made it even more interesting to me. So tell us about yourself, Jason, where it started and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so we flew over where it started, Jack. I pointed out the beach where I started. My first job for Miami-Dade County was as an ocean lifeguard. And that was my first job in public safety or rescue, so to speak. And that kind of literally lit the fire for me. A lot of the guys that were my mentors out there were already firefighters, and they were kind of pointing the path forward. And working with them and seeing what they were like and what they would do to prepare for that job, what they would do training-wise there, keeping themselves in shape there on the beach and able to affect, certain types of rescues. It all just, as a young kid to me, it just drew me in. I wanted to keep taking that to the next level. And so that got me into the fire department. Yeah. And I was only in for a couple of years, and I'd already saw air rescue. I knew about it when I was an ocean lifeguard. A small helicopter crashed in front of our stand, a little R-22. Yeah. Auto-rotated right in front of my lifeguard stand, like right in front of us. And
oh, my God.
That was kind of, I guess, fortuitous because air rescue responded to that. And we swam out, got the guy, the passenger, the student, out. I don't know if he ever went on to actually become a pilot. I should have asked. And oddly enough, what do we do to somebody when they're in a helicopter accident? We package them up and put them back in another helicopter. So,
that's good.
We got the guy out of the water. I want to say that he might have had some minor injuries, and the flight instructor was okay. And we got him packaged up, and air rescue had landed on the backside of the beach in a field, and we packaged him up, got him into the helicopter, and that was my first time seeing the helicopter up close. And I still remember being in the water, looking up and seeing him hovering over me and thinking, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And as time went on and I got closer to this unit, I was always drawn to it. I was always drawn to aviation as a young kid. I always liked planes and helicopters. And this now, for me, is really a culmination of all that, because we're a crewed aviation unit. So everything we do is teamwork, and it's teamwork to effect rescues. So for me, I'm just living out my dream. This is amazing. I'm doing crewed aviation, so I'm doing teamwork to do rescues, all the things I like. So it's just, honestly, it's a dream come true.
What drew you to the lifeguard job? Were you a swimmer? I know you were a surfer. You were out. You were a beach kid, right? You were out on the beach a lot. But there's a lot of surfers and beach kids. But you went to the lifeguard. What drew you to that?
So I grew up surfing at that beach that we flew over. So I'd always see the lifeguards there, and oddly, I think I was in trouble with them more than anything. Like there was a couple of them that would like kick me off the beach.
Yeah.
I would surf without a leash close to the pier and like endanger swimmers and stuff like that. And, this one guy, I think he like put me in timeout once. And
stand over there.
He ended up being my training officer later on, and he was he was a tillerman for Hollywood Fire Department. They have a tiller ladder up there because they have a real tight beachfront.
Yeah.
And he was a real salty, grumpy guy. And he just remembered me being this little punk surfer kid. And I showed up for my first day of training there. And, aside from surfing, I had no exercise or workout background. Yeah. I didn't even have a formalized swimming background. I did the swimming test with my head out of the water because I didn't know how to swim freestyle. So I did it with my head up out of the water. And so they were kind of amazed that I even passed that. And I had no idea what I was showing up for the first day of training. And the fire department's physical, but lifeguarding is real physical. Ocean lifeguarding is a very demanding job. And the very first day I showed up and I have no goggles. And they said, all right, we're going to go jump in the cut and we're swimming up to the pier. That's 2 miles. I had never swam that far. I've paddled on a surfboard pretty far. Oh. But yeah, so I thought that I was going to quit. And then also just running in the sand barefoot for a couple miles after that. I had no idea what I was getting into. But I just loved it more and more each day. And I was, feeling like I was going to die. Yeah. But it was awesome. Like I survived it and I felt that much more capable and ready, and I kind of really enjoyed that guy, like giving me that hard time. And we actually became, friends afterwards.
That's funny.
And he was universally known as a very miserable guy. And then I finally, like towards the end, kind of like got underneath his rough shell there, and he was pretty cool. And we sat together a few times.
Share with me a lesson that you learned as a lifeguard that you still use today.
I think the teamwork thing, Jack, is the big thing because you really can't do anything, by yourself there. Even if you go in the water, you got to make a call, and other people are coming to back you up because now your area is uncovered. There's a trickle down effect. So nothing you do in any public safety job is a one-man show. We have to work with people. So you got to be a people person. You got to be a team player. You have to understand how to use your team, use your resources. They're your resources, and you're a resource as well. And it's not just all about you. It's about bringing them in to help you. So lifeguarding was the first place that I saw that. I saw how the team worked. Yeah, we're spread out across the beach, in towers, sitting in groups of 2. And, you have your partner right there, but you're part of the bigger team. If a swimmer went missing, in a specific area, we got to bring in a team very quickly and conduct a line search together. Right. With no scuba gear. We're, basically surface diving and searching an area in a line format. So that takes a really quick assembly of the team. And I think at this point, you guys know I didn't play sports. So that was the closest I ever got to sport. Like all of a sudden, I felt like I was
sport.
Yeah, I felt like I was on a football team. So all of a sudden, it's like we're making plays. Like, all right, we're going to line up here and we're going to search from here to there. Go. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's the closest thing for me that I ever experienced to organized sports. But it was for higher stakes. You're looking
life
for somebody's
death.
Life. So yeah, that teamwork thing is stuck with me.
Wow, that is really cool. That somebody that was disciplining you ended up being your trainer at the same location. I mean, just fascinating. And again, this comes into mind immediately. Another thing that all of us, I think, growing up, took for granted: lifeguards, whether it's at a pool or at the ocean. Yeah. Certainly at the ocean, we just take it for granted. Oh, they're there; they'll save us. But they have no idea the fitness, the courage, the stamina, the dedication that goes into that. Right? I mean, you as a young kid surfing, you didn't think about what they were doing until you were there swimming 2 miles to that pier, and you go, "Whoa." 2 miles. I mean, I'm thinking about the length of a pool going, 2 miles in the ocean. It's crazy.
I've been here for about 7 years, and I know this guy's, he's a bad MFer, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at him right now talking, and it's just like, wow. Yeah, it's very
isn't it
impressive.
something?
It's really impressive.
And we might get to one of the stories where he did a long swim.
That's right.
A little bit later.
Uphill both ways.
What we've heard about, because that is just amazing.
Wasn't it snowing too?
That's right.
Yeah.
In Miami, yeah. It was uphill also.
Oh, that is great. Jason, what a neat background to end up where you're at. And we'll talk more about your job here in a little bit. But before that, Alberto, we'll get to you. Tell us about where you grew up and how you ended up going the Army route and then eventually fire route.
Thanks to our sponsor, Dallas Avionics, who provides innovative products to law enforcement, the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, military, air medical, search and rescue, and special missions operations. Dallas Avionics distributes OEM equipment, including communications equipment, digital audio systems, PA systems, flight tracking, and other mission-critical devices. Visit DallasAvionics.com for more details.
You know, originally I'm from Panama. Wasn't born in the United States. Moved to the States about 7. Moved around a little bit, lived in California for like 2 years, Puerto Rico for a year, and then settled down here in Miami. You know, grew up out here, went to school here, met my wife here, got married at 19 years old.
Wow.
Still going strong.
Good for you.
And, you know, I was a big sports guy, right? Basketball, football, all that stuff. And I thought that was going to be my life, you know, one way or the other, whether it was playing it, coaching it, you know, I thought that was going to be it. But it didn't work out like that. So I do have some family members that were in the military. You know, I have a few uncles that were, you know, in the Army, Air Force. Grandfather was in the Army, was in Vietnam. So I kind of knew that background a little bit. And I did get a scholarship to go play. It was a partial scholarship to go play football. That didn't really work out. Just stayed there for 1 semester. Mom couldn't pay for it. So it was like, all right, Army, here I come.
Yeah.
So I joined the Army. I was a medic for 10 years. Did that. That was amazing. Then I was a pilot for 10 years. I did that. Spent 2 years in Afghanistan with Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and then I was an instructor pilot after that. Kind of closed out my career with the military. Stayed in Alabama there, in Mother Rucker, as they call it, Fort Rucker, Alabama. I stayed there for about 2.5 years after I retired, and then something opened up here. I took it, and I took advantage.
Wow. Let's back up. Let's go back to Army medic for 10 years. That's a long time in an MOS, right? I mean, that's a long time. You're experienced, dedicated, and you decided that helicopter's the way I want to go. Talk about that decision and how that transition went.
So let me back up a little bit. So my mom told me, she said, "Hey, I'm not gonna be okay with you going in the military unless you go do something in the medical field." It's like, all right, cool. So tell my recruiter. He's like, "Yeah, man, you can go be a medical specialist," you know. And I was like, "Hey, that sounds professional. I like that," you know. And it wasn't until I think I was in basic training, AIT or something like that, and you got drill sergeant saying combat medic, and I'm like, combat medic? What the heck are you talking about? I'm a medical specialist, you know. So it wasn't really a passion thing. It's kind of my mom kind of guided me in that way. I was very good at it. I enjoyed it, but I was looking to get better. I got married at 19, had a family, and I was trying to, you know, better my family. So I knew I had to do something else. Yeah. I was looking, you know, for different opportunities. I was about 6 years in the Army. I had a soldier specialist, Eric Goff, right? And for whatever reason, we're having a conversation, and he's telling me that he's going to go be a helicopter pilot. You know, the Army has this whole warrant officer thing, and he's going to do that. And I'm just looking at him like, you are out of your mind. You have you have a high school degree. You don't have any, you know, college or anything like that. I'm like, there's no way. But I wasn't dumb enough not to go look it up, and I did. And I looked it up, and sure enough, he was right. You know, they had a warrant officer program. You know, all you needed was your high school diploma. At that time, I didn't meet the requirements, right? I wasn't born here, so I was a resident at the time. To be an officer in the Army or in the military, period, you have to be a citizen. So that was something I had to work on. I had a few other like test scores or whatnot that were not up to par. I needed to bring those things up. So I was like, that's not going to work out. And at the time, I was going to actually get out of the Army. It was about 2002. Florida International University, which you guys saw yesterday.
Yeah.
They just got a football team. That was their first year they had a football team. So I was going to get out of the Army. I had a school drop, which they let you go about 4 to 6 months early if you're accepted to a school. And I was going to try to walk on the football team. So as that's approaching, I probably got about a few months, and I'm about to get out. I'm talking to my wife, and hey, kid number 2 is coming. And it's just like, all right. So a week later, it's like, I swear to defend the Constitution of the United States. I guess this is going to be my life.
Yeah.
But knowing about the aviation aspect, I decided, hey, there's a hospital in Fort Rucker, Alabama, Lister Army Hospital at the time. And I want to go there. Send me there. So I re-enlisted to go there. And got to find out more information, got to get my citizenship while I was there, got to bring those test scores up to par, got everything that I needed, applied, and became a pilot. Now, a little funny thing is, about 5 years ago, I reconnected with Specialist Goff.
Oh, did you really?
And I told him, hey, thank you. And he said, thank you for what? Thank you.
Yeah.
We had this conversation about the helicopter becoming a pilot, and he's like, you son of a gun. 'Cause he never got to do it himself. But,
boy.
Yeah. But it was,
Well, good
just
for you.
how, a passing conversation like that could
Yeah.
totally change your life, and it did for me.
Oh,
That's cool.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We talk about that a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
About one conversation, one contact. You don't know where it is, who it's going to be, and all of a sudden it changes your life.
And one life event changes the trajectory of your whole career.
Absolutely.
A blessing that the kids is an understatement, and look at how it changed the outcome of where you ended up,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That is really, really good. So another guest that went to UCLA.
Yeah.
Upper corner of Lower Alabama, right?
Yeah.
In my best Jason Woodruff voice, upper corner of Lower Alabama. That is great. Was it a shock to the system switching from medic and ended up at Rucker in that training? Were you like, yes, this is awesome. This is going to be awesome.
I can't speak for all the other services, but in the Army, you're just, it's like drinking from a fire hose, you know what I mean? And they're putting out that information, and you're just, going through all the steps of learning, right? So rote memorization, understanding all those things. And you're just memorizing things, and eventually, it kind of comes to. For me, I was one of the first people to hover with little amount of hours, kind of where I peaked, at the time, to be honest.
It's a good place to peak.
But not every part was, found instrument was kind of challenging.
Yeah.
But eventually I really, the light bulb goes off at a certain point, and it did. And, I tell people that I stumbled upon aviation, but it is something that I didn't know how much I would love.
Right.
And it's truly a passion. I really find myself, thankful for what I'm doing and grateful for what I'm doing. And then to kind of finish out my career here in Miami-Dade County, where I kind of grew up, where I did grow up, and, provide these services for our citizens, man, it's so satisfying.
You've had 2 careers.
Yeah.
I mean, you did a full 20, right?
Yes, sir.
Full 20 in the Army,
20.
retire, and now you're here. And what year are you now?
So this is
with Miami-Dade Fire.
7 years for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
7 years.
What'd your mom say when you transitioned to the pilot route?
Oh, she was proud.
Yeah.
She was just like any other mom, trying to make sure, don't go out there and be a grunt. Don't go be an infantryman,
Yeah.
And trying to, set me up for the best position. And, what I've been able to accomplish, I wish I could say it was, I did it all by myself, but no, it wasn't. There's a lot of people, behind me. My wife, we got married in 19, 1 year into the about my Army career, and she was there all 19 years, from place to place and everything else, and taking care of home when I'm
God bless
deployed
her.
and all that.
She's a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a hero. All the military families, we talk about that a lot too on the podcast with our military guests, and all of them have said that their families are just
Can't do it without 'em.
amazingly resilient and strong, and we always say they're the backbone. You couldn't do
Absolutely.
it without them.
Could not.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
That's a great story, man.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. So we'll get more into some of this, but let's switch to the unit now. So Jason, you're a captain here, but you're still heavily involved in the training, and you're in the back working regularly. We'll touch on that in a minute, but give us the overview of air rescue.
Yeah, so to your point, Jack, we do have both firefighters and officers, lieutenants and captains in the back. So each day that a crew's set up, it's going to be one firefighter, one officer, whether that's a lieutenant or captain, and 2 pilots up front. So it's a 4-person crew. And like we said, we respond to a wide variety of incidents from 2 bases. The one that we're at here now at Miami Executive, which is our southern end base. And then we have another base at Opa-locka Airport. And both are staffed 24/7, 365 with 4-man crews each base. And we cover a little bit of everything with that. Again, scene medevac is the majority of the work. So that's our bread and butter. But the hoist rescue and training portion of it is what I deal with more now here in my job. It's a little bit more administrative than I would like. So getting out yesterday with you and getting to fly was awesome. And I do provide relief or can fill in overtime slots. But yeah, being out on the unit flying, that's really where I want to be the most.
Yeah, we could tell.
Yep.
We could tell that.
That was awesome.
That you were enjoying that as much as we were.
Yeah.
It was clear that you loved being in the back there. So 24/7, 365, 2 bases, 4 aircraft. That's a lot going on.
Yeah, and we cover a wide area too. So there's about 3 million residents in Metro-Dade or the metropolitan Miami-Dade area. So not necessarily just in Miami-Dade County, but all the incorporating cities. And that surges with tourism. So we flew over the port that can hold many ships. We're one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. And some of those ships are, 8,000 or 9,000 people when they're in port. And you can have 10 to 11 of those ships at a time. So there's a surge of people. And then going up towards Miami Beach, you saw the people and tourists that were out there. You notice the locals are probably not in the water this time of year, but they were. It's a lot of people that we're getting to serve with a broad mission set across a broad area where it's 2,500 square miles. Wow. So we didn't go all the way out to the western boundary. We went to the southern, eastern, and northern boundaries. But there's a lot more Everglades out there that we didn't go to. That would have taken us a little bit longer. So it's a wide area. Obviously, everybody's concentrated in the areas closer in towards downtown or the suburban area. That's the majority of the population. Yeah. But yeah, we're spread out across a wide area. Broad mission set.
Yeah, and you go beyond that, Miami-Dade. We talked about that down into the Keys, Monroe County. If needed, you'll go. I mean, just as we would expect, from any fire rescue or law enforcement. If you're needed there, you're going to go. You're going to cross that county line and just go. Well, we got to save a life if needed, and that expands the area of operation even more.
Yeah, what we discussed after the fly-in, there's more operators popping up around us that have this broader mission set like we do, meaning they're able to do the firefighting, the search and rescue, the hoist rescue particularly. We were the only game in town for a long time down here. Yeah. And now there's more agencies that are popping up able to do it. And we'll still go support them, if they have a need. So long as the citizens of Miami-Dade County are covered and we can spare the resources to assist, we're more than happy and want to do that for our neighbors.
Right. How far, this might be for you, Alberto, how far offshore will you go? Or does it depend on what it is? Or is there a limitation? Talk about that.
So normally 4 miles is pretty much what we're tasked to handle. Anything beyond that would be the Coast Guard. But unfortunately, you go, or fortunately, I guess, for the person that you're rescuing, but we get some calls and it'll be, 3 miles, and then you get an updated lat long and it turns to 4 miles. And some guys have found themselves 5, 6, 7 miles out there. But yeah, for the most part, it's just 4 miles.
Okay. It's amazing when you're looking out there. I mean, we went out to the lighthouse and that was a long way, and down on some of those islands, a long way from shore. But you have lots of Coast Guard assets there as well. Right. I mean, we flew over some of the bases, and and got to see that. Lots of Coast Guard in South Florida. So, Alberto, tell us about mission set, the mission profiles that you and your crews are able to respond to for Miami-Dade.
Yeah, so Jason pretty much hit on it, right? So we have about 80% is just our medical calls, scene calls that we respond to. That's our bread and butter. And then the rest of it, observations. Also, we're not always just, firefighting or putting water on fire, but we'll take a chief or the person in charge of that response, and we'll take them up in the air so they can see what they're working with. In addition to that, if you have a vehicle submerged in the water or something like that, we can provide assistance to observe not only our guys in the water searching, but maybe we were able to see a vehicle or whatever the case may be. In addition to that, so we have some special operations, talked about firefighting. We have a Bambi bucket that we can help support with the brush fires that happen out there in the Everglades. Additionally, we can do the hoist mission, and the hoist mission varies so much. We could be out there in the Everglades because a Cessna went down, which has happened multiple times since I've been here. And usually, you can't get any vehicle out there, so we're going to be the first responders to get there. So we're able to, send the person down on the hoist, rescuer. They're able to assess the situation, assess the patients, and then we'll bring them up and take them to the hospital or wherever else they need to go. And then the hoist that we do out there in the water as well. But yeah, so we're all kind of trained to do that. Just like all the guys in the back are trained to do what they do for all our missions, whether it's diver deployment, whether it's hoist, whether it's Bambi bucket work, we're all trained to do that mission.
So as our people that are watching on YouTube, they can see what your aircraft is. This is a beautiful aircraft. The paint scheme, it is absolutely beautiful. It's a Leonardo AW-139. Give us an overview of the AW-139.
Whether your mission is saving lives or servicing high-value assets, Onboard Systems Hoist stays ready to assist. Features such as single-point payout reduce the potential for hoist-induced load swings, enhancing overall safety. For more information, go to hoist-winch.onboardsystems.com.
So first of all, yeah, it is a beautiful aircraft.
It is.
It's a modern aircraft, and it got all the bells and whistles, right? So we have 4 screens in the front. We also have a 5th display where we're able to put up maps, we're able to put up cameras, so we can get a better overview of what's going on. We have 5 cameras on this aircraft, right? We have 2 at the bottom, one that looks straight down, one that looks aft of the aircraft. We have one in the tail that gives us an overview of the entire aircraft, and it's especially important, if we get some type of engine fire indication or something like that, we can verify that with that camera. So that's big for us. Additionally, there's a camera on the hoist, and then obviously the FLIR is a whole camera within itself, and we can record on all of those cameras as well. So once we finish our mission, we pull those tapes. And, we can review it, do an after-action review, send it out to the guys, and, continue learning how to do things better. We also have, safety-wise, we have floats on this aircraft, something we didn't have with our 412s, which, provided another level of safety as we're, hovering out there over the water at, 90 feet or 30 feet. If it's dealing with the boats, we can have those floats on and not only save the asset itself, which is a very expensive aircraft, but, it's one of the hardest things you're going to do is try to get out of, as this aircraft goes into the water and turns over, we train for that, but it's going to be a very difficult thing to, get out, and hopefully survive. So, having that is extremely important. We're equipped with weather radar, so that helps out. Jason said yesterday that, if you don't like the weather in Miami, wait 5 minutes, and that's absolutely true. But when we are having a lot of thunderstorm activity and stuff like that, it's good to have that information and be able to, circumnavigate, all that weather. What else do we have?
Well, the 4-axis autopilot has been a big help.
That's been an amazing help. Yeah. So we have 4-axis autopilot, and we have an auto hover mode that we have now that we didn't have before. It's not perfect. It's not like a GPS hold, but the aircraft, if it moves, it'll stop, and it'll adjust and give us a new position. But it has been extremely helpful. The situational awareness that you're able to get out of this platform is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the work reduction as a pilot that it does with all this 4-axis autopilot, this thing can totally fly itself, shoot an approach all the way down to 50 feet. It's great. So it reduces the workload, and helps us out in the front.
Yeah. What's the crew makeup? Always 2 pilot for all missions?
For all missions, it is 2 pilot. We have some guys that are signed off single pilot, but we don't operate that way. That'll be just more for a maintenance function that we use that for. But always 2 pilots. So there's a PIC and a SIC. We used to have pilot and co-pilot, but we have moved away from that. So now we're just hiring pilots. 2,000 hours of experience and all that. They start off in the SIC position for a while to get their, feet wet, as they say, and, get the lay of the land. But the purpose is anybody can, the purpose of that is that anybody can sit at any position and be able to accomplish the mission.
You're allowed to say get your feet wet in a unit in South Florida?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a pilot?
We actually
Carefully.
Yeah, very, very carefully.
Yes. So let's switch to the back of this AW139, Jason. Talk about the typical crew and if it varies per mission and how that works in the back.
So as we discussed before, there is one firefighter, one officer, whether it's lieutenant or captain, and they're both cross-trained. So when you come into our unit in our initial schoolhouse, you're trained in both roles. So we're training you as a hoist operator right off the get-go, and also as a rescuer. And that's not so common, when we've gone around and visited other units.
Right.
Generally, you don't start off as a hoist operator, and that may not be your primary function, but in our initial schoolhouse, you're going to get exposed to those roles because you're able to cross-check each other or replace each other and function in any role in the back. So everybody is trained to the same standard and have the same certifications and same ability. So as far as being a paramedic, rescue swimmer, diver, hoist operator, aerial firefighter, or systems operator, whether that be the FLIR, the TRACA, or any other systems that we have on board, any of the medical equipment. So everybody is interchangeable in the back. There's people that have varying levels of experience that might be a little bit more so in certain areas than the other. But you've been exposed to it and you've been trained to it for a certain level of competency just in the initial schoolhouse. Now, after you come back out, you'll do a portion of on-the-job training, OJT training, and you'll get a lot more time to spend in both roles. But we'll try to guide you a little bit more towards whatever your primary role is going to be, so that you get a little bit more tuned up in that one specialty.
Do you have a lot of hats in your locker?
We do, yeah. So that's something,
It's amazing. All the things you have to do.
Yeah, the fire department in general. There's no specialty that our fire department doesn't have, but in general now, the fire service has gone that way where you're expected to wear multiple different hats. And if we're just keeping it bread and butter, real basic, just the fire and medical portion alone, those are two in the past very distinct careers in themselves and require a level of competency and commitment on their own. And then you add in all the other specialties, whether that's diving, hazardous materials, technical rescue, urban search and rescue, the aviation unit, the marine units. Those two become more niche or specialized. So you can find yourself with 10 hats in your locker. So it's difficult to stay competent in all of them or current all the time. So you really have to pick and choose and kind of hone in on the ones that you're able to keep current.
But you as a crew member and you and others here as crew members in the back of it, you have no choice. You're getting in that helicopter and going out. You have to be those 4 or 5 things because you don't know which mission you're going on.
That's right. Yep.
Is the alert aircraft that's standing by 3 people or 4 people? Or does it depend? So it's always 4?
It's always 4. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Always
Both bases.
pilot
Yep.
and PIC second in command, and then 2 in the back.
Yep.
And you're equal. And
Yeah.
So do you divide that up? Do you say, you and I are assigned to the back today, where we say, well, today I'll be doing this, you'll be doing that, or do you? Are you both ready all the time, or how does that work?
Yeah, there can be some interchanging, especially on some of our special missions, such as hoisting. If one guy's like, hey, man, I'm a stronger swimmer for this scenario, I feel like this suits me better.
All right.
We can swap roles. But in general, our firefighters are our crew chiefs. Those are the guys that are sitting on the right side of the aircraft. They're the hoist operator. To me, if I was going to put this into law enforcement analogy, they're the TFO. They're the ones that are they're the heart and soul of the operation. Their calls or their plays in the back, whether that's finding a victim and then formulating a rescue plan, or finding the LZ and conning the aircraft into it, or as they're the hoist operator, developing that script and dialogue with the pilot to walking them into that location. That's the heart and soul, to me, of the operation. That's my favorite position. I should have never promoted out of that position. Oddly enough, that's the only silver badge on the aircraft. Everybody else is considered officer or has a gold badge, so to speak. But I still think that the real heart and soul of my favorite position out here and the real lifeblood of the unit is the firefighters, because that position is so critical. So, we will spend, after they've been out here a little bit longer, we spend more time honing them in as hoist operators and prioritize that for them during training, even though we flip-flop them.
All right.
And so you're staying current on all operations, so you're able to interchange, but that becomes more of their primary role. And that, again, I should have never promoted. I just love that position. So
I just think it's cool that you can still hop in there if you had to, and if you want to.
Yeah.
As a captain, I mean, you have a lot of responsibilities on the instruction side, which we'll get to, but which keeps you sharp and involved, and in some ways maybe even more current than people that aren't instructing a lot. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, I caught this yesterday, and I meant to ask you and I didn't. You said rescue swimmer and rescue diver. Yeah. Those are 2 different things in my head. Are they very different in your reality?
Yeah, they are different. When you think rescue swimmer, we're thinking surface water rescue, affecting a rescue. We do have scuba gear, but we have to be realistic of how we're using scuba divers from a helicopter. That's a very niche or unique thing. Mm-hmm. So there's certain scenarios where it might be appropriate. We're only deploying one diver at a time. It's not like we're deploying a team of divers that we're helocasting into the water. Right. That would be a different story. As we discussed, we have 4 person crews, so 2 in the back. So that hoist operator or crew chief needs to stay with the aircraft. Yeah. We can deploy 1 swimmer to effect a rescue or make an immediate inspection of something. So we have something called a Ziegel Rapid Diver, which is a quick dive setup that is basically a horseshoe collar with a small bottle underneath, and it came out of the race boat industry. Oh. And to me, this is where the application of that equipment. We get a overturned boat or vessel near coastal areas, or a small plane overturn, or maybe we're the first one on scene of a car out there on Southwest 8th Street, that long road that goes across the Everglades, and there's a car in a canal, and we need to make a quick inspection. It's not to do a wide area search unsupported, right? But to make a quick inspection and immediate rescue of something that has just occurred that you are first to arrive on. So it's very different than painting the picture of deploying with large scuba tanks. And when I first came out to the unit, we did train that way. That was something that was in our currency. We would train as if we were helocasting a team. But the reality was that our calls weren't being conducted that way. Right. So we had to kind of back up our training and realize that we were using a technique that was brought to us probably by our original instructor cadre. A lot of those guys were pararescue jumpers at Homestead Air Force Base that was down here prior to Hurricane Andrew. Folks. Yeah, top-notch rescuers. And they brought in a lot of that stuff, towards it from the end of their career over to us. And while it's great, it just in time, it proved for us to not really meet the mark of what we were doing in reality in response. So we kind of remodeled our rescue swimmer diver deployment training to more closely align with what we're doing on actual responses, where we're deploying a single swimmer or a single diver. And we have to be very aware of what we're doing with that equipment. You can find yourself in trouble if you were to deploy a diver out in the middle of nowhere, unsupported by any vessel, and if you think you're going to break the surface and leave communication with your crew to go conduct a deep or deeper dive out of their line of sight, that's a big risk.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And I've only been around Jason 3 days, and he's reading my mind. I mean, you read my mind all the time. Because my next question, when we started this, was about, do you carry scuba tanks in there? And boom, you came up with this device that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Right. I mean, for exactly for what you need it for. Mm-hmm. Now, if you did need, I'll follow up with this. Let's say there is a need because of the mission, and I don't even want to imagine what the mission is. I could guess and it looks stupid. But let's say you're going to need divers. I mean, real diving equipment, divers. You could also do that here, or would you be picking up a cadre from within Miami-Dade Fire to enhance that mission? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So all those are options for us.
Okay.
Yeah, we can pick up a cadre of divers and air deliver them somewhere. You saw some of those remote islands.
Oh, yeah.
We could absolutely do that and have done that. We can pick up divers and bring them to a location. If we know we're going to be divers as part of a more concentrated search where we're going to land and just operate as divers, we'll bring our bigger scuba bottles, our normal regular fire department dive gear, not that rapid diver setup that we discussed. We'll land and go operate as divers and fall in with whatever other dive response is going on there. To back them up. And so we can bring that, we can either bring extra personnel to the scene, or we could drop off, two of our crew members to function as divers.
I'm going to guess, because earlier you mentioned the Marine unit and the air rescue part are very similar in many ways. I'm going to guess that they have people on board those boats that are rescue and dive swimmer qualified as well. Could they get from the Marine unit, get into this aircraft and go deploy and seamlessly, or would that or is that separate?
It is possible. They are divers. We would probably not helocast or air deploy them, but we could pick them up and fly them somewhere.
You go.
Yeah, and everybody in the Marine unit is a diver.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of dual roles.
Yeah.
Makes us feel kind of worthless. I was a pilot. I was a TFL. I catch bad guys. It's amazing all the things that you have to know how to do.
Something you brought up that I think is interesting and I really admire is you guys developed this mission set and said, you know what, this mission set isn't really suiting for how we're deploying in practicality. And you guys changed your training and how you deploy based on that. Yeah. A lot of agencies what we're really good at is operating in a silo and doing things a certain way because that's the way it's always been done. Talk about the decision and the internal dialogue that took place to realize, hey, this is not what we're doing. How did you change that practice? Because again, a lot of agencies are guilty of doing this thing they've always done.
Yeah, and we're no different. So the same was occurring here, and we kind of realized, hey, we are in that silo, like you discussed, and we kind of just had a moment where we were. We had to take a little pause, and it took a little while to kind of come up with the way that we wanted to train and develop the logistics of that training plan, and then move it forward. And we did a crawl, walk, run setup, and we're always evolving that cycle. And in some ways, some things we're still crawling in, some we're still walking in, others we're at a full sprint. So we just had to hit a little pause on that and say, hey, this is the way we want to do it moving forward. So we went to a very controlled environment. We went to a lake that we operate from. So the logistics are very easy there. We can do a lot of reps of that single swimmer deployment and land right there and reset people very quickly. And then we started bringing out to a more open water environment, out into the bay or in the salt water, and then working with the Marine units. So we added layers of complexity. But it really just stemmed from a need, on the operations and training side, saying, "Hey, this isn't what we're doing in reality." And luckily, we had the leadership that said, "Okay, do what you need to do to make it reality. And they supported that reset and that change. So it was a bottom to top and then top back down again flow that everybody agreed we needed to make the change. And we're still doing it. We're constantly evolving. All of our operations, as we go and discuss things at conferences or have fly-ins, you pick up a little nugget and you're like, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah. You know what? Instead of, giving the swimmer 3 pats before he deploys, let's just make it 1. And little nuanced things you just pick up, and then that causes you to go back and reevaluate and add in, new items into your checklist or your procedure or your training. So, yeah, we were lucky that we were supported by our leadership to do that reset.
And that's huge. Yeah. Leadership's the key element there.
Yeah, and if I can jump in on that real quick, there is such a thing as resistance to change, right? And people always think that they do the thing, they do it better than anybody else, and they could, this is the way we've always done it, all those great things. Yeah. But yeah, what you need is the personnel willing to do that, willing to put in the work, willing to listen to other people. And Jason has been instrumental in that as an instructor. And then the backup that he gets from our leadership to go ahead and make that change. Yeah. And us going out there and trying it, and some things may not work, but we at least go try it, look at it, and see if we can implement it.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's huge. A lot of folks come up with the excuse, well, nothing bad's happened yet.
That's right.
Why should we change anything?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
Yeah, but there's always a better way to do something. Absolutely. I feel like you're either getting better or you're getting worse, and you should always be trying to get better incrementally. Even that 0.5% incremental increase in ability is so huge. Yeah. Did you experience that when you're looking to change this program as you're developing that?
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers.
Thanks to our sponsor, Dallas Avionics, who provides innovative products to law enforcement, the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, military, air medical, search and rescue, and special missions operations. Dallas Avionics distributes OEM equipment, including communications equipment, digital audio systems, PA systems, flight tracking, and other mission-critical devices. Visit DallasAvionics.com for more details.
Whether your mission is saving lives or servicing high-value assets, Onboard Systems Hoist stays ready to assist. Features such as single-point payout reduce the potential for hoist-induced load swings, enhancing overall safety. For more information, go to hoist-winch.onboardsystems.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Centum. Airborne operators know that every second counts. LifeSeeker is a powerful phone location tool helping search and rescue teams and law enforcement agencies locate missing persons faster, even in the toughest conditions. With hundreds of successful missions every year and proven reliability, LifeSeeker is trusted by public safety agencies worldwide. Want to improve your operations? Learn more at Centum.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Hangar Z podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Miami-Dade Fire Air Rescue. Jason and Alberto both have amazing journeys leading them into the air rescue unit. This aviation unit is all about saving lives. They opened their doors to us and provided full access to see exactly what they do. We were impressed by their skill, dedication, and professionalism. Thank you, everyone at Miami-Dade Fire Air Rescue, for the incredible welcome and the hospitality that you showed to our team. Stay safe, and we'll catch you the next time on the Hangar Z podcast.